have the talent. They have more to play for. I'm expecting Texas to have a better second half than they did in the first half.
Jesse Schule joining us, everybody. Some stuff in the chat room. B-Daddy says this game is a hard pass. So does G Hurt. And I feel like so does Teddy. Teddy, this is a hard pass for you?
If I'm playing, I'm with Jay. I want no part of the White Sox. Had success fading Crochet. I think what they've lost each of his last 5 starts. Yeah, so if I'm playing, I agree 100% with Jesse's assessment of this game. I don't want – Chicago's unbettable, unbackable, and they're cheaper to fade when they're best pitchers on the hill. So I agree with Jesse 100%, but it's my job to ask follow-ups. So I'm always going to ask a question that, that points the other way.
Makes sense to me. Sports Avenger writes, Prez, what's your preferred pizza toppings? And then a bunch of guys in the chat room wrote he loves pineapple. Pineapple is very, what's the word? Look, polarizing. It's very polarizing. But if I had to order a pizza, the toppings would be pepperoni, hot peppers, and pineapple. That is my favorite pizza. Jesse, what's yours?
I like Italian sausage and mushrooms.
Yeah, I only eat fungus if it gets me high. And Dan, we don't need you discussing gross in my ear. Nobody asked you and nobody cares. Teddy, what's your favorite pizza topping?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't eat that much pizza, dude. I'm not that worried. Pepperoni, mushrooms, and green peppers. That's my go-to.
Now, Dan, you could say gross to that. Jesse Schule is the $2 Tuesday handicapper at WagerTalk. Just to let you guys, and I hate green pepper, and mushrooms, just to let you guys know, every Tuesday we take the hottest handicapper, we make them the $2 Tuesday handicapper. That means you could get their play for only $2. It's a perfect way to see how the handicapper of that you purchase handicaps, their analysis, how they write, etc. Makes total sense. And Jesse is the perfect choice for today. Look at these numbers. 11-1, 11 wins, 1 loss in his 5% plays since last July in baseball. He's number 1 at WagerTalk in the last 365 days in 5% baseball bets. He's number 1 at WagerTalk in the last 365 days in all his 5% plays. And he is number 1 at WagerTalk over the last 1,000 days in his 4% picks or higher. An outstanding handicapper. We're lucky to have him. And you could get his 5% play tonight for only $2. Okay, Jesse, so the Miami Hurricanes regular season win total is at 9. Are we going over or under?
We're going over, Prez. I think there's some recency bias at play here. I think the public looks at this Miami team and says it's been so long since this team has been great. And they look at Florida State and Clemson. Those are the top 2 teams in this conference over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years. But you really dig into it. Miami, they've got the better quarterback coming over from Washington State. I'm not sold on Florida State bringing in DJU. I'm not sure how that's going to work. And I think people really are naive to think that DJU is an adequate replacement for Jordan Travis. And I know people don't like Merril Christobal. He faces a lot of criticism, and rightly so. He makes some mistakes here and there, and we'll get to that Georgia Tech game last season when I believe that he had an opportunity to seal the deal by running the ball or kneeling the ball, and he didn't take that opportunity, allowing Georgia Tech to come back for a miracle win in that game, which essentially derailed their season. They were 4-0 at that point. If they didn't lose that game, who knows where they would have gone. So yeah, you have to fault him for that. Hopefully he's learned his lesson. But can we really overlook the fact that he was 26-4 the last 3 seasons at Oregon? And I know some people out there will say, well, the Pac-12 isn't that competitive. It's not as good. I will point to a game in Columbus where his Oregon Ducks went in and laid a whooping on the Ohio State Buckeyes. So you can forget about that Pac-12 not being competitive. Miami's got the horses, and I'm looking at their schedule. They could be a favorite in all 12 games in the regular season. They are the favorite against Florida in week 1. They catch Florida State at home later on in the season in October, I believe. And as I said, I'm not high on Florida State with DJU. Miami at home very likely could be a favorite in that game. And unless things really work out for Florida State, replacing all those players and bringing in DJU at quarterback, this is a game that I think Miami should win. So I think the regular season win total of 9 should probably be somewhere closer to 10. And I think the price of Miami to win the ACC plus 400 behind FSU plus 250 and Clemson plus 350. I like the Hurricanes to win the conference.
So you opened it up talking about Mario Cristobal, and I got to talk about Mario Cristobal. Has he ever gone over his win total in any year at any place where he's been head coach? Maybe the 1 year he took Oregon to the Rose Bowl, where they won I think 10 regular season games that year. But Cristobal to me, when you're listing head coaches who've underachieved in college football yet keep getting jobs, he's at or near the top of my list. Has he ever gone over? And are you worried at all that, you said, hopefully he learned. He's been at 3 stops. Mario Cristobal, how many lessons has he learned so far at those 3 stops? Because in my mind, he is, when you're thinking of bet against coaches, he's, again, at or near the top of my list and not a guy who I'm confident in saying, you look at Miami's talent, you go, yeah, this team's loaded. You look at the schedule, you say, yeah, the schedule's reasonable. You look at the coach and his track record and go, yeah, he'll screw this up. Cristobal, talk to me about him. Will he screw it up?
Well, Teddy, he's probably going to screw it up at least once this season. But and you asked about did he go over anywhere in his previous tenure? I'd have to think with him going 26-4 the last 3 years at Oregon, they would have gone over in at least 1, if not 2 of those seasons. And we only need to get to 10 wins here.
It's 20.
You don't think that's an accurate record?
I'm looking at Football Reference not right now. I got 26-9 during that 3-year span.
Is that including
the back
perhaps
3 years? I got 26-8 over the back 3 years at Oregon. So either way, it's more than 4 losses.
Maybe that was excluding bowl games or the Pac-12 championship game, perhaps. But anyways, I mean, 10 win. That's what he's got to get to. And can he screw it up bad enough to prevent them from getting to 10 wins? I don't think so.
Jesse Schule joining us. Jesse, outstanding job, man. Listen, kick ass tonight on your 5% play. Guys, it's only $2. Jesse is 11-1 since last July in these baseball 5% plays. Congratulations, brother. Kick ass tonight, and thank you for joining us on WagerTalk Today. Teddy Covers, I'm seeing a concert tonight. Chicago opening up for Earth, Wind, and Fire. Now, I'm not a big fan of both of these bands, but my parents are, and I'm doing good by them. I'm taking them to the show. It should be fun. I mean, it's going to be a bunch of dance music in Chicago. I mean, that song, does anybody know what time it is? And Saturday. I mean, those are groovy tunes, man. So will be fun. I'll give you a report tomorrow. Not that you care. What did bettors learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
I saw Chicago on Fremont Street one New Year's Eve. And as long as they're playing their hits that you know, it's fine. What you don't want is them playing the songs that you don't necessarily know.
Well, I don't want to hear "You're my inspiration." I don't want to hear. I hate ballads.
Well, hopefully you'll enjoy this show. I'm not going to the show. I saw him 20 years ago. That being said, and even they were really old then, I want to talk about some aftermath, and this is going to take a minute, about what happened last year. Remember, in the middle of football season last year, A bunch of players from Iowa and Iowa State got suspended and kicked off the teams for allegations of illegal betting. And the issue was that they found all of these dots on a map that were right on the campus of the two schools, and a single investigator, one guy, was like, there's something. Once you see the map, you can't unsee it, was the word. So you had an ambitious prosecutor saying, oh, look at these. There's got to be illegal betting there. And they charged, 30-something players with illegal betting. The majority of the players were charged with misdemeanors and pled guilty. No trial, no nothing. 4 of them were charged with felonies. The 4 felony charges have now been dropped. All right. They're off the hook. And all the info from the investigation is now in question. All right. There was no warrant. There was no anything. And there were enormous consequences for some guy looking at a map of where betting activity was and saying, this looks suspicious to me. And the concept behind it, was the prosecutors were saying, there's clearly something going on bad. Here's one of the texts. They're not going to report it to anyone until someone does something. They'll do everything possible to keep it in-house and sweep it under the rug. The athletic department was aware of it months before we found out. They tried to deal with it in-house. There were 46 million online wagers in Iowa that year, and the sports reported 21 suspicious wagers to the commission. And the commission says, when you look at the total wagers, they aren't reporting suspicious activity enough. So what's happened? Now we have the countersuit. Now we have the charges being dropped. And now we have the 4 players who got basically kicked out of college football saying this wasn't right. And of course, we talk about there's no search warrant. Quote, the attorney says, then they use that one step further and come around and seize everybody's phones. When there's no search warrant and you're making accusations against players that are going to affect their careers, and you're saying, oh, well, look at these dots. There are geodots on there. With an ambitious prosecutor, there will be bullshit like this. All right. This is a prosecutor who wants to make a name for all those universities. They're not doing it right. And of course, all the players who were convicted of the misdemeanors and pled guilty to the misdemeanors are like, oh, we're not going after you guys. We're just going after the books. Well, the books aren't getting gone after. It's the little guy who got screwed here. And luckily, in this instance, some of the little guys are fighting back. The entire scandal, Iowa State from last year, it's kind of bullshit. And we're finding that out now, a little bit too late. Lawrence?
I got nothing to add, Teddy. All I know is that we're going to be discussing this a lot for the next many years to come. So, Teddy, at the top of the show, one of our listeners asked what kind of pizza I like. I said pepperoni, pineapple, and hot peppers. Dan Alexander then said, yuck and disgusting in my ear. So I slacked Dan. Well, what kind of pizza do you like? And he wrote, ham, hot peppers, and pineapple. Literally the same pizza as me. Oh, Dan, you got issues, brother, and it's okay.
I think he was teasing you, Lawrence.
Okay, fair enough. Before we bring on Steve Merril, what do you think his favorite pizza is going to be, Teddy? I'm thinking plain cheese.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Steve Merril's cheese pizza all the way, man.
Yeah, plain cheese.
Good cheese, though. I mean, like a New York cheese pizza.
How are you guys good handicappers when you're this far from reality?
Well, we're using the information available to us.
Cheese.
We are using the info available to us. You are the plainest dude. Your hair is plain. Your complexion is plain. You wear plain clothing. You are Mr. Plain. So
that actually makes me feel great. That makes me feel like Mr. Chameleon, because that just shows I'm doing a damn good job confusing everybody, which is fine with me because I don't need my private light in the spotlight. But man, since I've been 5 years old, I've been kitchen sink. And I was going to actually ask you, Prez, when you were talking to Jesse about it, in Canada, Teddy probably knows that term. In Canada, do you have the term kitchen sink pizza? That's what I had growing up. That's when everything is on it. Yeah, maybe that's an East Coast thing. Kitchen sink pizza. No, I'm an everything pizza. stack it with whatever you can get on it. Usually it's too much on it. No, I'm the farthest thing in the world from cheese pizza. In fact, I've never understood vanilla ice cream. Every ice cream is vanilla until you add something to it. And these people whose favorite ice cream is vanilla, I don't get that. No, you couldn't be farther from the truth, man. So I'm glad that my persona is confusing everybody because that's what I want. No, man, my parents
You like
stopped
vanilla
me from
ice cream, Teddy?
Love it. Yep, got a gallon of vanilla or half gallon of vanilla in the freezer right now.
Now reality is making sense.
So you know who else loves vanilla?
100%
Steve's wife. Steve,
yeah, by the way,
would be
it's funny, as I was covered up yesterday outside because I need no more sun because I'm literally peeling from all the burns I've gotten this summer. I thought to myself, my intuition is so good that tomorrow on WagerTalk Today, the Prez is going to say I need to get some sun and then I'm pasty white. I'm literally like peeling from the burnt sun I've gotten this summer, but he still thinks I'm the whitest human being on earth, Teddy. So there again, the magic of the ring light.
Listen, dude, if you would be a perfect assassin, no one would ever describe Steve Merril to 10 different people.
That's a great term to be using nowadays over the past week. That's a great comparison to be making.
Yeah, hey,
I'm not going to touch that one.
That's a good skill, man. That's a good skill. Anyway, thanks for hosting
the current event
yesterday.
world, that's probably not where I'd be going right now.
Okay, fair enough. We love you, Steve Merril. Thanks for hosting yesterday. And Teddy, Steve will be sitting in my chair on Friday. I'm taking my dad out again. As I told you, we'll be missing some Fridays during the summer. Steve, let's get straight into some actionable betting information. The Mets are playing the Yankees, the Subway Series. You going with the side, the total? How you betting this game?
Going to give you both the side and the total for Mets Yankees because this is probably the biggest series of the night in Major League Baseball. It's a spotlight game. I believe it's on TBS national TV, so a lot of people will be watching. First of all, we broke this down, of course, on MLB First Pitch. I've been guest hosting this week at 11 a.m. Eastern, so don't forget to check out the baseball show live right before Wager Talk Today every weekday here on the channel. But this is a spotlight series, and for that reason, I think it's a spotlight-focused spot for the Yankees. And yes, the Mets are playing good baseball. And what's ironic is that it all started when these teams met earlier this season. That's what really turned the Mets season around is when they took a couple from the Yankees last month. But keep in mind, the Mets, even with this nice run they've been on this season, they're still below 500 against winning teams. They're still just plus 12 net runs, just 3 games above 500. And that's with a hot streak that started about a month ago. Yankees, meanwhile, have been playing very mediocre baseball. They're just 5-5 their last 10. But they're still 10 games above 500 against winning teams. They're 18 games above 500 overall. They're plus 109 net runs, which is the best in baseball. Don't tell our producer, Dan Alexander, but that's better than even the Phillies right now. So I like taking good teams in focus spots. I lean Yankees in this one. A little pricey, minus $1.50 or so. But I also like the over here. And in case that Mets offense remains hot, it'll get us to the over. The 2 games last month, extremely high scoring. I talk a lot about this. I like to look at road numbers only in baseball because it takes all the different type of ballparks into account. Top 3 slugging percentage, Yankees, Mets, second, third. Top 3 on-base percentage, Yankees, Mets, second, third. They're both top 4 on-base plus slugging in all road games this year. These are 2 of the best offensive teams in baseball. So I like the over, but I also like the Yankees tonight in what I think is a very focused spot after losing the 2 meetings last month.
So Lewis Hill got lit up by the Mets when in that last series that you talked about that kind of sparked the Mets. Didn't make it through the 5th inning. 4 walks in that contest, and walks have kind of been a problem for him of late. Yankees have lost 4 of his last 5 starts. Is this a starting pitching matchup type wager, or is this a I trust the Yankees more than I trust the Mets type of wager?
It's funny, Teddy. My concern with the starting pitching is actually Quintana coming off a bad outing because he'd been really good before that for several starts. And a lot of times decent pitchers bounce back. So my concern in this game with the Yankees over is that Quintana actually might have a good start for the Mets. I like the Yankees because Gil got lit up in that meeting that you referenced back on June 26th. That was a 12-2 loss, by the way, against the Mets. Over-under was only 8.5 in that game, got easily over. But he actually had 3 bad starts in a row, and that was the second of 3 bad starts. But since then, he's given up just 2 earned runs in over 12 innings the last 2 outings against the Red Sox and Orioles, 2 decent offensive teams. So I think Gil's turned the corner. I do like the fact it's a big revenge spot for him as well. That is part of the handicap here. And, Yankees over, I feel like there's a little bit of a hedge there in case one of the starters does struggle. That probably gets us the over a little bit easier.
Steve Merril joining us, everyone, and Teddy. I'm still people and me are in shock about you and this vanilla ice cream thing. Is so boring and tasteless.
There's nothing better than vanilla, dude. Everything else is
so vanilla.
Okay, let's take vanilla and screw it up.
Well,
that's one way to look at
my
it.
favorite ice cream is simple. It is the complete opposite of vanilla. It is chocolate and peanut butter.
It is pretty good, Prez.
Yeah,
chocolate and peanut butter.
I can see that.
No, one of our listeners it says mint chocolate chip deep fry time. Mint chocolate chip is the best ice cream. Mint chocolate chip is the best ice cream if you get rid of the mint and the chocolate chip and you swap it with chocolate and peanut butter. That's the best ice cream. Pralines and cream, though, Teddy, which does have a vanilla base.
Mint chocolate chip tastes better when it's green, by the way.
It's all vanilla, and then you're screwing it up with whatever else you're putting in it. So you guys could be in shock. Oh, my God, he likes vanilla ice cream. Shock. Okay.
Steve?
I'll live it. I'll have French vanilla or butter pecan. That's all vanilla, too.
Butter pecan? You like
my
pecan,
favorite growing up, Baskin-Robbins, was the green mint chocolate chip. Now that you say that, Prez, I forgot all about that. That was my favorite. But I loved green as a kid. It was more the green. Like I said, it tastes better when it's green for some reason. I don't like the white mint chocolate chip. I don't know. That's just a personal preference.
Turbocharged likes cookie dough. Ugh. Teddy.
Yeah.
Pecan.
Cookies.
What is a pecan?
Yeah, I'm not a huge butter pecan fan.
Pecan.
Pistachio either.
Hey, shut up.
Pecan.
So,
Steve Merril, let's turn our attention.
Talk about one rivalry series. Now let's talk about the others. San Fran and LA. Right now, look at the free live WagerTalk live on screen. I'm seeing the Dodgers in the minus 140 range. Total this game, 9, juice to the under. How do you break it down? San Fran, LA, Tuesday night.
Yeah, late night special. This is another one of the big series tonight. Giants, Dodgers got started yesterday, and we really could call last night's game was the letdown series, in my opinion. I stayed far away from it because the Dodgers were coming off the emotional Sunday night win against the Red Sox. We always know we fade the Sunday night team, but then again, the Giants were coming off the series in the thin air and altitude of Coors Field. And Ralph Michaels, our colleague here at WagerTalk.com, pointed this out to me earlier this season on an NBA show when we were talking about the Nuggets. He said that blindly fading all the Denver teams coming off the Denver series, whether it's after playing the Broncos, the Nuggets, the Rockies, in all sports, teams normally don't perform well. They're below 500 ATS betting-wise, and I think it makes so much sense after playing in the altitude. So it wasn't a good spot for either team last night. And lo and behold, speaking of vanilla, the Dodgers win a 3-2 game. And that was interesting to me because we always say the Dodgers win by margins or they lose outright. Well, they've played 10 times this year against the Giants. They've gone 7-3, but nearly half those wins have been by exactly one run. So this is a situation where I like the Dodgers in this game, minus 140. I don't think we need to play the minus 1.5 run line at plus 145. And Knack is a better pitcher than Hicks. So I like Dodgers minus 140. Also like the over 8.5. But as we check the WagerTalk live odds screen, there's mostly 9s out there. Just a few minutes ago, a lot of the 8.5s went to 9 unders. So shop around, but I do like it over as long as it stays on that key number of 9 or less. Dodgers are a great offensive team. You know, if you told me coming into the season you'd be disappointed when a team was 60-41 after the All-Star break, plus 96 net runs, you'd say you're crazy. But it almost feels like the Dodgers have underachieved this season at just 60-41. I actually think there's upside with LA here over the next couple months. This is a team that we all thought could win 110 games or more this year. They'd be minus 300 at this point of the season. Well, look, we're getting the Dodgers at home with the better pitcher at less than minus $1.40 right now. So I like the value, also like the over. They're a good offensive team. And the Giants are capable also of putting up some runs in this game. And Jordan Hicks for the Giants has struggled. He gave up 5 runs, 8 hits in just 4 innings against Toronto on July 11th. He has given up at least 3 earned runs or more in 4 straight starts, and he has not lasted more than 5 innings in any of those. So Dodgers over, Dodgers team total over probably makes some sense as well in this one on Tuesday night.
Why is it so cheap? You know, I mean, LA is a legit World Series. I mean, I know they have some injuries, and I know they don't have an ace on the hill or anything resembling an ace, but I mean, why do you think this number? We're not used to seeing the Dodgers at less than minus 150 at home against anybody, even against a rival. Why do you think this number is as short as it is? And what are the markets seeing that's keeping it there?
Yeah, it's a good question, Teddy. And that was kind of my point with, like, there's actually value, in my opinion, right now in the Dodgers. And who would have thought we'd be saying that right after 100 games into the season with the most loaded lineup in history coming in this year? A lot of times that does concern me. And you and I talked about this yesterday. You know, like, you can always make a case for the other side on any bet. There's no 100% sure things. And when it is, it makes us nervous, right? But I'm not going to overthink this one. I almost feel like the Dodgers just kind of flying under the radar a little bit over the last month or so. And I think this is a situation where we get some value with them tonight, and we'll probably continue to get some value with them here in the near future.
Steve frickin' Merril. Johnny Detroit logs into the chat room. Black cherry ice cream. I mean, you want to talk about screwing up an ice cream. Guys, we got an incredible site-wide promo going on this week. We are 10 years old this month, which is unbelievable. Shout out to my partners who started this wonderful company with me. It's been an incredible ride, unbelievable journey, and most importantly, with some of the best people in my life. Johnny, Marco, Rick, and the rest of you guys, lots of love. So on our 10th anniversary, we want to celebrate by making the best ever season offer in football. Basically, the bottom line is buy anybody's college football or NFL season pass, and you get the rest of their baseball for only $99. Steve Merril, why should they pick you?
So this is a great special going on right now at WagerTalk.com this week and this week only. You're going to play football. Everybody and their brother plays football. So why not get a rock bottom price of $777 for the entire college and pro football seasons all the way through next February through the Super Bowl. But when you sign up this week with that special price, you also get the rest of the baseball season over 3 months through the World Series over a $400 value for free. The way you make money a lot of times is saving money up front. This is an investment. It's a great time to lock up the football season to get the rest of my red hot baseball along the way on a 33-22 and 38-24 runs the last couple months in MLB. Get it right now. Get it this week. Don't delay. I've got strong best bets going tonight on Tuesday. The rest of the baseball season free when you get football right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com.
Thanks for joining us, Steve, and thanks for hosting yesterday and this coming Friday. Teddy Covers, what is your big game breakdown?
Let's talk some college football. We're talking plenty of MLB, but college football, this game, less than about a month away right now. Today's the 23rd. This one goes August 24th, and it's the college football kickoff classic, the opener, Florida State and Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. Noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, Saturday, August 24th, literally the very first game of the college football season. Right now, look at the WagerTalk live odds screen. Florida State -13/-13.5 in Dublin. Total 55.5. And obviously, I mean, Florida State, they're coming off a pretty brilliant season. Not the ending. 13-0 start, and then a 63-3 loss. It wasn't pretty, obviously, for the Seminoles. They got screwed by the committee, and they got screwed in their bowl. And obviously now, in theory, supposed to be a clean slate. Mike Norvell and company in his 5th year as Florida State, coming off that brilliant season. Of course, they blew out Georgia Tech, the most recent meeting between these two teams, 41-16. But that was then. This is now. Let me start with this. I'm not a DJ Ukulele fan. Transferred in from Oregon State, originally a Clemson Tiger. He's not someone who I trust to be at his best in the first game of the season. Florida State certainly coming in with something to prove. So's Georgia Tech. Look what Brent Key did last year. Don't be fooled by their 7-6 record last year, 5-3 in the ACC. They had a 3-4 start. They had a 4-2 finish. This is what they did down the stretch. +12, they beat North Carolina outright. +1, they beat Virginia by 4 touchdowns. +14.5 at Clemson, they lost by 21. Fourth quarter pick 6 mattered in that ball game a whole lot. +24 against Georgia, they lost by only 8. +6 versus UCF in the bowl game, they won that by a pair of touchdowns. So that's a pretty good track record for a team stepping up in class. +12, +1, +6 winning outright, +24 losing by only 8, +14.5 Well, they lost by 21 with a fourth quarter pick six. Georgia Tech's had success against Florida State. They're 2-1 in the last three meetings. They won outright at plus 13, plus 5.5. They're 4-3 straight up the last seven. Since 2008, the Seminoles have only beaten Georgia Tech by 14 or more one time. Sure, I understand. Florida State looks pretty good on paper. We like Norvell, but I would not be surprised at all if this game is a battle, not a blowout, a competitive contest. I think Georgia Tech plus the points is the way to go. But I'm not betting this today because we know where the public's going to go on this. We know where the game day money's likely to be. I wouldn't be shocked at all if we see plus 14s between now and kickoff. So I'm not locking in at plus 13 a month before the game is going to kick. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy Covers, I've been watching the show Receiver on Netflix. It's 8 episodes, and it goes through last year's NFL season from the eyes of Kittle, Debo, Justin Jefferson, and Devontae Adams. It has been really fun to watch. Devontae Adams seems like just an incredible dude. And George Kittle. George, if you're watching this show, dude, you and I got to go do mushrooms at the Dead. I mean, you are designed for an acid trip at a Dead show. Teddy, he might be the coolest man alive. I mean, he's like the Bill frickin' Walton. I know you think he's racist, but he's a hippie athlete. I'm very much enjoying the show. I do recommend it. I don't highly recommend it. I mean, it's not like some gripping show, but it's worth the watch. Ronald Cabang joining us. Ron, have you watched the show Receiver?
I haven't even heard of it.
That's okay. But you have heard of pizza and ice cream. So you want to add your thoughts on what the best pizza and ice cream is?
Yeah, ice cream, I'm with Teddy. It's vanilla. Vanilla, I'm a basic dude. You got to get that basic flavor, the foundation. And then pizza, it's just pepperoni. Straight cheese and pepperoni.
Deep dish, thin crust?
Just pan. Pan's good. Ugh. I don't know if you ever tried like white sauce on a pizza, but that's been something that I've been trying lately.
Okay. Well, both Teddy and I are really old, so we barely eat pizza. Last night I ate wings and regretted it for 4 hours. Ronald, let's get straight into some actionable information. You've got a bet for us on the Brewers against the Cubs. It's a first 5 bet. How do we approach this game?
Yeah, first 5, just to kind of stay away from the bullpen here. Brewers starting Colin Rea, and the Cubs, Jameson Taillon. I'm expecting Rea to have a nice bounce back start after giving up 7 earned runs in his last start. This was back a couple of weeks ago on the 9th, but I do think that this is a situation where I could see him pitching pretty well, and I'll talk about the stats later on. But from a trend perspective, Brewers 14-9-5 on the first 5 as road dogs versus starting right-handed pitchers. In the first 5 innings of those games, the Brewers are averaging 3.29 runs per game, allowing 2.5 runs per game. If you add that they're coming off a loss, they're 7-2 straight up with an average first 5 margin of plus 2.56 in the first 5. The Cubs, on the other hand, are 7-13-7 on the first 5 as home favorites versus starting right-handed pitchers. If you add that they're coming off of a win, so just basically the opposite of what I mentioned for the Brewers, they're 2-7-2 in the first 5 money line. Taillon started in 3 of those games, and they lost all 3 of them outright in the first 5 innings. From a batting perspective, I was looking at the last 30 days. Neither team really possessed a lot of power, but the Brewers have the advantage because they are getting on base, and they have the speed to get players in scoring position too. And I mentioned earlier that I think Rea could bounce back after giving up 7 earned runs, and the metrics point in that direction too. In the last 30 days, I think it's like I believe it's 4 starts in the last 30 days, 4.3 ERA, just 3.28 FIP, and 3.58 xFIP. And the Cubs, they strike out at a high rate, 24.4% K rate, and Rea has a decent 8.6 K per 9 innings rate. So I think he's going to be able to get a few strikeouts here. I'm not a really strong prop guy, but I mean that's one thing that I will look at from a prop perspective. I think focusing on the first 5, just because the Cubs look like they do have a big advantage from the bullpen perspective. But that didn't, this play here specifically is just really taking advantage of the starting pitching matchup. This one didn't make my card, but I do think that the Brewers in the first 5 would be the way to go in this one.
Talking about Milwaukee now, 5-8 their last 13 ball games. Aren't the Brewers a team that kind of overachieved in the first half, and maybe they're going to come back to earth in the second half, and kind of the opposite for their opponent? I mean, just as a thought process for me, it's like I'd rather be betting on Chicago than Milwaukee right now, because I think that these two teams are relatively comparable, and the Brewers are being priced here, and the Cubs are only being priced here. Talk to me about that conceptually.
Yeah, for me, when I cap MLB, I do balance out the trends with the stats, right? And for me, and this is one thing that I learned from Ralph is not really looking at like the full season stats, but more so recent form, right? Last 30 days, I would say, is a good parameter. And to me, they do have that advantage in the offensive side of the ball. Like I said, their guys are a lot better. They have more speed, 31 stolen bases compared to 15. And the fact that we're taking those stats from a batting perspective against who the pitchers are, and what I see with the pitching is Taillon, he does seem pretty consistent as far as his advanced metrics, but as far as like Colin Rea being able to bounce back, I could see why where the value lies as far as the line goes, based on that. Because if you look at the last start, giving up 7 earned runs, you see the line and what you mentioned, how they're doing in the last 13 days. I kind of put all that stuff together and try to tell a story with the data. And that's how I come up with the plays in the MLB, is just kind of balancing all stats, trends, recent form, and all that stuff. So, I mean, I get what you're saying with what happened towards the beginning part of the season. Is just I kind of take that out as, especially with MLB being 162 games compared to like, say, NFL that has like, a much smaller sample size. So that's the way that I do MLB.
Ronald Cabang joining us. You can find him at Twitter at @UCapper. Seth S. writes, I'd pay an ungodly amount of money to do ayahuasca retreat with the Prez, Aaron Rodgers, and Joe Rogan. I'm in. So if you want to do it only with the Prez, I'm still in. Frankly, I'd rather not do it with Joe Rogan. Me and him had a run-in about 15 years ago, and, well, he didn't like me. Let's put it that way. So I'm game, Seth. You don't need to pay an ungodly amount. Just fly me to Costa Rica, organize a shaman, organize the day of ayahuasca. The whole thing costs you probably a couple of grand. I'm in. I am 100% in. Also, the people asking in the chat room if Teddy has had a cigarette, the answer is
no. I am now 11 days. No.
Is it getting
easier?
easier?
The gum, dude. I'm chewing the gum like crazy. We haven't gotten to that. The nicotine addiction is still very much there, but I have not had a cigarette since a week Friday. So,
is it getting easier?
Nothing's done yet. But I'm less miserable the last couple of days than the first week.
So it is getting easier, but still really, really hard. Anyway, I'm really proud of you, Teddy. Like, legitimately proud of you. Ronald, let's talk Pirates in St. Louis. Go.
Pirates in St. Louis. Yes. 1 second. I totally forgot this was my other play. All right. So, all right. Pirates in St. Louis. I do have, here he goes. Lance Lynn starting for the Cardinals. Paul Skeens for the Pirates here. I think a lot of people are going to back Skeens here, especially in the first 5. And that's the way that I went. I think the Pirates have the advantage at the starting pitcher and the bullpen, but I wanted to key in on the first 5 specifically, just because, like what I mentioned earlier, I kind of balanced the stats with the trends, and it really pointed towards the first 5 having the most advantage. On the season, the Pirates 8-0-3 in the first 5 money line when Skeens starts. In those games, opponents are averaging just 1.64 runs in the first 5 innings. On the other side, you see Lance Lynn, opponents are averaging 3.37 runs per game in the first 5 innings. If you add the fact that the Cardinals are on the road as dogs, they're 1-4-1 straight up in the first 5 innings. And when Lance Lynn starts, opponents are averaging 4.83 runs per game in the first 5 innings. So a lot of things kind of give that, you can see like that big gap between the 2 starting pitchers. But if you look at recent form, it also shows a huge advantage there too, as well. Skeens, as he has 1.33 ERA, 2.31 xFIP in the last 4 starts, compared to a 5.48 ERA, 4.52 xFIP for Lance Lynn. Not only that, but Lynn has been giving up the home run ball at a high rate. In his last 4 starts, he has a high fly ball rate of 46% and is giving up 2.1 home runs per 9 inning. And for me, even though, the Pirates offense maybe, a lot of people aren't really high on that offense, one thing they really rely on is on power. In the last 30 days, they have 32 home runs. Their ISO is 1.163, even though their team batting average is just 244 and BABIP is 279. So a little bit lower than average, but their ISO is high, showing that they really rely on that power, like I said. And with Lance Lynn being a guy giving up the home runs, that's where I could see them getting.
The look, says Ronald Cabang. And of course, Ronald, your WNBA season has been, shall I call it spectacular? I mean, you went on one of the biggest runs that you're ever going to see. WNBA is on break right now for the Olympics. That doesn't mean you won't be killing it in the second half as well. Talk about what you have going right now at WagerTalk.com. Talk about what you've done in WNBA so far this season.
Yeah, WNBA #1 at WagerTalk right now. There was a point where I hit 17 straight plays in the WNBA. And we can even after the loss that broke the streak, I continued that hot streak. Ended the beginning, the last part of that break pretty strong as well. So hopefully we just continue to do that towards the end of the season. I was #1 last season too, so WNBA just has been something that I've been really good at the last few years. I've been watching it since way back when the Storm had like Lauren Jackson. I mean, you guys probably don't even know these players, but long time ago, way before people even started betting it, probably. But yeah, so WNBA has been solid. Hopefully, we get a package up and ready to go to finish off the rest of the season. But with this break here, with the Olympic break here, I've been really focusing in on MLB, kind of figuring out, where my best stuff is, and looking at what I did towards the beginning of the season. It really focused in on the money line in the first 5, not really messing with props or anything like that. Kind of took that market out of my playbook, and things have been going really well. So since the WNBA has been on break, I've been focusing in on top plays, like 1 or 2 per day, and it's been great. 7 and 2, I think, since the WNBA has stopped. So hopefully we just continue cashing in the MLB as well.
Ronald Cabang, thanks for joining us, brother. Keep kicking ass. Teddy, let's end the show with let's wrap up a couple of topics. Firstly, huge shout out to Dan DeSalvo. Dan is on day 12 without a cigarette. He writes, way to go, Teddy. You guys are doing this together. So big shout out to you, Dan. Congratulations. Just inspiring. The next is Andrew Wadge from Ice Cream Perspective. He likes Dairy Queen. Andrew, Dairy Queen doesn't serve ice cream, bro. So you might want to rethink that. It might look like ice cream. It might smell like ice cream, but it's oil-based, not cream-based. It is not ice cream and never will be. I love you, though, Andrew. You're a good dude. Teddy, I love when your face shows misery. Take us home.
Clearly you do. Yeah. This is the point of the show that I'm ready to chomp some nicotine gum in. That being said, it's going to wrap it for the Tuesday edition of Wager Talk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and tomorrow's show, you guys know what to do. Enjoy the games, and best of luck with all your bets.